This is the story of Keith Moon, the most dangerous drummer in rock and roll history, a man who packed more destruction, more genius, and more chaos into 32 years than most people manage in 10 lifetimes. He didn't just play the drums, he detonated them. Keith John Moon was born on August 23, 1946, in Wembley, London. His father was a motor mechanic. His mother described him as hyperactive, restless, a kid with an imagination that never switched off. He was obsessed with the Goon Show from an early age, and at 12 he joined the Sea Cadets, where someone handed him a bugle. That was the beginning of the end for everyone around him. Moon left school at 14, took a job repairing radios, and used the money to buy his first drum kit, a Premier kit, the same British brand that would later become synonymous with his sound. He started taking lessons from Carlo Little, one of London's most respected drum teachers, who taught him a trick that would become part of his signature. Flip the sticks around, hit with the heavy end, make it louder. Moon took that advice and ran with it for the rest of his life. By his mid-teens, he was bouncing through local bands, the Beachcombers, the Escorts, a group called Mark Twain and the Strangers. None of them could contain him. Then, in the spring of 1964, right in the thick of the British invasion, he walked into a gig where The Who was playing with a drummer Moon was certain he could destroy. He showed up with ginger-dyed hair, dressed head to toe in ginger clothes. Pete Townshend later called him a ginger vision. Moon told the band he could play better than their current guy, sat behind the kit, and tore through a few songs before snapping the bass drum pedal with sheer force. As Moon himself remembered it, nobody actually said he was in the group. He was just there, and he stayed there ever since. Townshend called him impudent but bloody talented. That might be the most British understatement in rock history. What Moon did behind a drum kit was unlike anything anyone had heard before. Most drummers keep time. Moon treated his kit like a lead instrument, turning it into a weapon. His fills were explosive, unpredictable cascades across the tom-toms that no one else would have dared attempt in the middle of a song. John Entwistle described it best. He didn't play left to right or right to left. He played forwards. And Entwistle had never seen anyone play like that before or since. Moon hated drum solos and refused to play them. He went through an entire phase in the 70s where he abandoned the hi-hat altogether just to see what would happen. His Premier kit grew larger and larger, eventually incorporating double bass drums, twin kick pedals that let him fire off rhythmic salvos from both feet simultaneously, making him one of the earliest rock drummers to adopt that setup. Max Weinberg, Bruce Springsteen's drummer, said Moon was as influential in the 60s as Gene Krupa was in the 30s. Rolling Stone ranked him the second greatest drummer of all time, behind only John Bonham. And the recordings proved it. On My Generation, the band's explosive 1965 debut single, Moon's drumming didn't accompany the song so much as assault it. On Who's Next in 1971, the album that gave the world Won't Get Fooled Again, his playing reached a kind of controlled chaos that has never been replicated. And on Tommy and Quadrophenia, The Who's landmark rock operas, he was asked to serve a full narrative across double albums, and he delivered something closer to orchestral percussion than rock drumming. These were the recordings that cemented The Who and Moon as one of the defining acts of the British invasion era. But it was what Moon did off the kit that turned him into a legend of a completely different kind. The destruction started in 1967, during The Who's first major American tour. They were opening for Herman's Hermits, traveling by bus, when they passed through Alabama and Moon discovered cherry bombs. These brightly colored little fireworks packed 20 times the punch of anything he'd used back home. He bought 500 of them. Townshend walked into Moon's hotel bathroom once and found no toilet, just a mangled S-bend. Moon had thrown a cherry bomb down it, and that wasn't an isolated incident. Moon's repeated demolition of hotel plumbing got him permanently banned from Holiday Inn, Sheraton, and Hilton hotel chains worldwide. Estimates put the total cost of his porcelain destruction at around $500,000 in today's money. Then came his 21st birthday, August 23rd, 1967. The Who had just played a show in Flint, Michigan. Moon later told Rolling Stone he'd started drinking at 10 in the morning and had no memory of performing that night. What happened next became one of rock's most disputed legends. Moon claimed he jumped into a brand new Lincoln Continental, released the handbrake, and watched it roll through a fence and into the Holiday Inn swimming pool, with him still inside it. Roger Daltrey swore he saw it happen and said the band paid $50,000 in damages. But John Entwistle flatly denied it, pointing out that Moon couldn't even drive. The truth may never be settled, but Moon did leave Flint with a $24,000 hotel damage bill, a night in jail, and a lifetime ban from Holiday Inn. On September 17, 1967, The Who made their American television debut on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. The band's set typically ended with Townshend smashing guitars and Moon kicking over his drums amid smoke bombs. But for national television, Moon decided to go bigger. He reportedly bribed a stagehand and loaded his drum cannon with 10 times the legal amount of flash powder allowed on a TV soundstage. The explosion nearly blew the band off the stage and blinded the cameras. Daltrey went deaf for an extended period. Moon took a cymbal shard to the arm. Townshend's hair was singed, and he later attributed part of his permanent hearing loss to that single moment. Beneath all the chaos, though, was a darkness Moon couldn't outrun. On January 4th, 1970, Moon's driver and bodyguard, Neil Boland, was killed when Moon drove his Bentley away from a hostile crowd outside a pub. Boland had somehow ended up underneath the car. Moon dragged him 100 yards before anyone realized what had happened. When Moon reached under the car, he pulled out brain matter. Boland's head had been crushed. Moon was charged, but ultimately cleared, and the guilt consumed him. Pamela Days Bears, who was close to Moon during that period, recalled one night when they were in bed and he broke down crying, calling himself a murderer. He would wake up screaming. As Roger Daltrey put it, Moon did everything to excess. He was the most generous and the most mean. He was the funniest and could be the most unfunny. Everything about him was extreme. He'd hidden an entire family from the press for years, marrying Kim Kerrigan at 19, fathering a daughter named Amanda, and keeping it all secret to protect his wild reputation. He'd show up to parties dressed as a World War I pilot, Dracula, Marilyn Monroe, or completely nude. He founded something called Pie in the Face International, ambushing Oliver Reed with a lemon curd pie at a Hollywood premiere and handing him a membership card on the spot. Reed later said Moon showed him the way to insanity. Moon was also supposed to appear in Monty Python's Life of Brian. He was with the Python members in the Caribbean as they wrote the script. He never made it to filming. By the late 70s, Moon's body was failing. Years of alcohol abuse had taken a devastating toll. His doctor, Jeffrey Diamond, prescribed heminevrin, a sedative meant to combat alcohol withdrawal. On September 6, 1978, Moon attended a party thrown by Paul McCartney to celebrate Buddy Holly. He went home to the Mayfair flat he shared with his girlfriend, Annette Walter Lax. The flat belonged to Harry Nielsen, and it was the same apartment where Mama Cass Elliot had died 4 years earlier. Moon took his heminevrin pills the way he took everything, in handfuls. Townshend later said it was a silly mistake, that Moon just always took pills in handfuls. It was simply a habit. When the toxicology report came back, there were 26 undissolved tablets still in his stomach. He had consumed nearly a third of his 100-pill prescription. Keith Moon was 32 years old. Townshend said Keith's death was something they had expected for 20 years, but when it actually happened, you just couldn't take it in. Today, The Who still tours, and the drummer behind the kit is Zach Starkey, son of Ringo Starr and Keith Moon's own godson. Moon gave Starkey his first drum kit when he was a child. Townshend calls him the Karmic Keith Moon. The chaos ended in that Mayfair flat in 1978, but the drumming never stopped. It just passed to the next pair of hands Moon himself had chosen. As Moon once said, "The Keith Moon the public knows is a myth, even if he created him." He was right. The myth outlived the man, and it shows no sign of dying.